not a news network, but some TV station, they did like a ghost hunter thing, and they were talking about somebody who bought in his house, and like they had a guest who stayed out in the other, like the guest house that was completely separate and had like some kind of weird, I don't know, like I find it fascinating. I don't necessarily put any validity to it, but whatever,
Well, I think that was on, if it wasn't the Travel Channel,
something like that, yeah.
It was something. But I was, I saw that later, but Herb Baumeister, man, I didn't realize that was Indiana. For some reason, I was thinking it was out west somewhere.
How many?
Do y'all remember that case? That was some crazy crap, y'all. And now they have found, and I think I was trying to get Justice up. Okay, here's Frank.
Finally, God, it took him.
Hey, I don't want to hear your shit, young lady. I was ordering dinner.
Oh, good. Well, I done cooked dinner. Huh?
You're right along my case there, Silky. The Herb Baumeister case took place in Westville, Indiana.
Yes, I just realized that today.
He was the I-70 killer is what they ended up naming him.
So what do you tell us about old Herb? I love this case. It was so weird.
He was a gay guy who'd been married for many, many years, and his wife didn't know, and he would go to the gay bars in Indianapolis and basically do what he had to do, and then he would kill him.
Bury him on his property.
And then when they caught on to him, he was on the run and he ended up killing himself.
Right. Here's the thing. I saw pictures of, he had that Fox Hollow Farm, which is a beautiful, beautiful place. But in the not basement, he had an indoor pool. And when he would invite people to come over, like, okay, it's a cool place. You want to do whatever you're going to do down there. But he had all these mannequins, like looking like people. He had some in the pool, some around the bar, and all this. Like, it was freaky. The police go in there, and I'm like,
well, he was using that excuse that when they were finding remains on his property, he was telling law enforcement that his dad was an anthropologist, and that's why he had skulls and stuff like that on his property.
Yeah. But his wife, what was her name? Julie, something like that. She said she didn't know. Like, she knew that clearly their marital situation had changed quite a bit from when they had got married. They weren't that close, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink. But
I think she said they'd had sex maybe twice in 20 years or something.
Yeah, that's a little sus. I'm just telling you that would throw up some big red flags for me.
Is this guy like women or what?
Or something.
I mean,
Justice served.
I would have to look at it that way too. I mean, if I hadn't had sex with my wife in so many years, I know my wife's going to have red flags popping up everywhere. Like, what's going on here, guy?
Exactly.
So
Justice said. He told his wife it was a medical skeleton. Yeah, Justice was talking on. I had tried to get her on here too, because she was talking about that on CJ's a couple of months ago. Just like, that is such a fascinating case because you have the dysfunctional family relationship, but yet this guy's a business guy. It wasn't it like Save-A-Lot?
Yeah, he had a thrift store. A thrift store is called Save-A-Lot. Yes.
Yeah, and so, I mean, he's a very successful businessman, okay? So it's not like he's a total loser. He's got this nice estate, and his wife doesn't know, but they're just finding these bones. Still, that's why it was back in the news a few months ago, because now they've realized there's more skeletons there, and they've still got all of these pieces they can't identify, and they're like, hey, if y'all know anybody who went missing, around in the mid to, the early mid 90s.
Yeah, late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah. Please give us a call because we've got a bunch of people here we can identify.
I've tried to pull paperwork and they won't release anything because the case is on pending investigation now. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's terrifying, to think how many people they don't even know. Like they don't even have a number. They're still just out there digging up stuff.
It kind of reminds me of Jeffrey Dahmer in a way.
Yes. It kind of does, and especially when you get I'll tell you what reminded me of is seeing those mannequins in his like downstairs playroom.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of gave you that Dahmer feel, like he wanted like his little slaves. He wanted company that never left, and maybe that's what old Herb was thinking about. I don't know.
Kind of reminds you of the movie Psycho, when he had his mom down in the basement sitting in the chair and she was skeletonized.
Yes. So how far is Westfield from Delphi?
I would say probably Westfield's in Hamilton County, so I would say about an hour, if that.
Oh, wow.
45 minutes, maybe. Yeah.
Jeez. Have y'all ever heard any paranormal stuff about Fox Hollow Farm?
No. It got awful quiet after that last search they had, so... But I try to pay attention to everything that's going on. I mean, I try to watch out for more news articles about it, but it's got quiet again, so we just don't know what's going on with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a lot because it's under investigation, but, they're going to keep going on with that.
Right.
Jeez. What is I was like looking at it like, what the heck doesn't happen in Indiana?
Well, the very first case that I really got interested in with the Indiana was the Sylvia Likens case back in 1967 to 68.
Now, what was that?
It was a family had a couple daughters, and the mom and dad were travelers with the carnival. And they didn't want to take the girls with them on the road because of school and everything, so they moved into a house. And they asked the neighbor to watch the girls while they were out traveling with the carnival, and they were sending her money to take care of the girls and everything. Well, all of a sudden, the mother, her name was Gertrude Benishevsky. She was claiming that the parents stopped sending her money. So what they did with Sylvia, they basically were pimping her out in the basement, abusing her, sexually torturing her. They carved "I'm a prostitute" in her stomach, and they ended up killing her is what they did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And she was only 15 or 16 years old at the time. And, it was the mother, the daughters, the sons were all involved in it. They all went to prison. They're all dead except for one. One daughter's still alive, and she just got popped in Iowa. I would say probably somewhere in the last 10 years. She went under an fake identity, right? She was working as a teacher's aide in a school, and somebody recognized her and turned her in. So there's no telling what's going on with her now. So it was a big case back then. Big
what
case.
What year was that? I'll have to look that up. What year was it?
The Sylvia Likens was like in 67 or 68, 1967 or 68.
Wow. See, I love those old
from Indianapolis, and the house has got tore down about 10 years ago that actually happened in. They finally tore the house down.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, she's from Lebanon, Indiana. That's where they end up burying Sylvia Likens, and they've got a memorial at a park in Indianapolis for her, too. So, yeah, there's a movie out with Judith Light.
Yeah.
She portrays the Gertrude Benishevsky, the Sylvia Likens story. If you want to look it up and watch the movie, it's pretty interesting.
About when did that come out?
Probably 10 years ago or so, maybe even longer. But it's still out there. I can still watch it to this day. Just look up the Sylvia Likens movies, and it'll pop up.
Okay.
And Judith Light portrays the Gertrude Benishevsky.
Oh, I love her. I love Judith Light. I haven't seen her in anything for a long time, but she was a really good actress.
Yeah, I mean, the last time I seen her was, what's that? Who's the Boss? Is that what she was in with Tony Danza?
Yes.
And, yeah.
Yes.
And that was the last time I ever seen her was then. And then all of a sudden she pops up as the main character in the movie. So.
Wow.
And I do want to bring something to light that somebody had commented in the chat earlier about Derek German.
Okay.
Let me tell you something. Somebody said that Derek German only got 3 years probation for a drug conviction. is completely wrong.
Yes.
His plea agreement was sealed, but I was able to get a copy of it. He did a year in prison and did like a year and a half on probation, and he had to do some like drug classes and things like that. So for somebody to say he did 3 years probation is completely wrong.
Yes. Good job, Frankmeister.
Completely wrong. Don't get me wrong, guys.
No.
I've got a pretty good rapport with Becky. Okay. And I talked to her quite a bit, and I've learned a little bit about the family dynamics and everything, and a lot of things that's going on. And she's admitted, yeah, there was drug issues with Derek and several of the other family members that I don't want to bring their names up, but I see why Derek is keeping quiet, because he doesn't want all the attention on him when it comes to his daughter. Yeah. Okay. And plus, and he doesn't want all that stuff being brought back up about him in his past. People make mistakes in their lives, and we have to move on. Once we clean ourselves up, we have to move on and try to better ourselves. To bring Derek up into this situation is not a good idea, because it's bad enough that his daughter was murdered. Right. Okay. He doesn't need to be reminded of this every time that somebody goes on and says, well, Derek was this and Derek was that. Of course, we all know what Derek was into, but that is not the reason to bring him into it, because his daughter was murdered.
I get it. I really do. And I mean, I wondered if that was the reason. And I mean, I guess it was just like because in the beginning he didn't say anything, but I don't know that I would want to get on. I can tell you one thing. I wouldn't want every word I said to be scrutinized.
Exactly. But that's my point. Yeah. Leave the man alone. Leave the family alone. I mean, it's blatantly obvious they didn't have nothing to do with what happened to these 2 babies, period.
Yeah. Yeah.
No matter what the circumstances were in the past, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody screws up, and that's just a live and learn experience, and we all know that.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I try not to, because like I've said a million times, are there inconsistencies? Do I have questions with a family? Of course I do. So do a lot of people, but I don't know their motive, and I don't know what's true and what's not true. I don't know. So I'm not going to say anything, because they did have a loss, a tremendous loss. And what happened afterward, look, if I don't know, I'm certainly not going to add fuel to the fire.
I'm just saying, people, just leave the family alone. We've got our guy. I'm 99.9% sure it's Richard Allen. Just from him being at the trails, the bullet situation, and him admitting to his wife and his own mother that he did it on telephone conversations should be enough.
See,
I got a call coming in, guys. I'll get back with you in a bit.
Okay. Are you leaving us, Frank?
I got a phone call coming in.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Thanks for coming on, Frank. All right. Yeah. And I know there were a few things which, y'all, I go back and forth. Is Richard Allen guilty? Is he not? I don't know. Some things, I will say this, which I was going to say to Frank before he left. I am just not convinced that there is enough evidence, whether he's guilty or not, to actually convict him.
Right.
That's my opinion. Now, they may come up with stuff that I've never